pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. One state, under God, one.
Let us pray. Thank you, Lord, for this wonderful day and for all the blessings that you've given to us and for the opportunity we have to come and worship you in this way. Give us wisdom and guidance as commissioners and just as city staff all together to do what's right and what's best for this county. We thank you for the rain. We thank you for the beautiful place that we live, and we just give you praise for all that. Guide us, watch us, keep us, and help us make good decisions. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Roll call.
Here. Here.
Here.
Here, we do have a quorum, and we have citizens to be heard. Three people, all of them want to talk about item 12. Do you want to wait till then, or do you want to speak now? You'll wait. You'll wait. You'll wait. Okay. Then we'll go to the, we got a presentation. A very interesting one. Simple senior benefit regarding information on Medicare Part C. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much. My name is Sherry Schaus. I want to thank Commissioner Cheney for inviting me to come and speak about Medicare. I'm hoping that I can shed some light on this, but real quick, a little bit about myself. I do physical therapy. I also work as a life skill aide at a local school. I got into the Medicare business, or insurance business rather, because my mother went to the hospital and the doctor said, you need to go to a skilled nursing facility, and her insurance denied it. And then he said, okay, go home with home health, and that too was denied. And since I'm her medical power of attorney, I thought I had pretty good insurance for her. And I thought, you know what, I'm getting older. I have no idea about Medicare, so I want to learn. So I did, and became a licensed agent. So I'm here today to talk about Medicare. Weekend. Thank you. Flip it this way. There we go. Okay. Back. So Medicare eligibility must be at least 65 years of age and or have a disability. You must be a U.S. resident. When can you enroll in Medicare? There's 3 timelines. You have your initial enrollment period that is typically a 7-month window, 3 months before you turn 65, your birth month, and 3 months after you turn 65. Then we have the annual enrollment period that runs from October 15th through December 7th. That's when you see all the commercials, the phone calls and things like that. So you can make changes to Medicare Advantage or any Medicare coverage rather. And then we have a open enrollment period, and that runs from January 1st through March 31st. That's when you can make changes to your Medicare Part C. And then we often have a special election period. Often the governor, Texas governor will place us in a special election period, maybe a drought, a hurricane. There could be various reasons for us to have a special enrollment period. So people can often make changes to their Medicare insurance plans during the 12 months of the year. Just need to see if you qualify for that. So Medicare Part A. Part A is inpatient. That includes hospitalization, skilled nursing, home health, and hospice care. Most people, it's $0 premium. However, if you are on traditional Medicare, original Medicare, if you go into the hospital, you will automatically have a deductible. That deductible for 2022 is $1,500. However, that's only good for a 60-day window. So if you go to the hospital in January and you have a relapse in February, you only pay that one-time deductible. However, if you go to the hospital in January, you get sick again in April, you pay an additional $1,500. So that can be up to 5 times per year. So it's not an annual deductible. It's only good for 60 days. If you're still in the hospital on day 61 through 90, you start paying a co-insurance of $389 per day. 91 through days 150, it increases, nearly doubles, 778 per day. And then if you go to skilled nursing, Medicare will pay the first 20 days. But beginning on days 21 through 100, you will pay $194.50. So if you stay on your traditional Medicare, it can be quite costly, nearly up to $80,000 per year for those events. For Medicare Part B, this is on your traditional original Medicare. It includes anything that's outpatient. It's for your office visits, ambulance, day surgery, labs, radiology, and urgent care. Most people pay the 170/10 out of their Social Security. However, it's based on your income. Depending on how you filed your taxes in 2020, if you filed jointly, if you made $182,000 or less on your taxes, or if you filed individually and you made $91,000 or less, you only pay $170.10. However, if you were fortunate enough and you made more than that, then you will pay an increase based on your income. But again, most people pay the 170/10 out of their Social Security. For the Medicare Part B, again, your outpatient, your doctor visits, this has an annual deductible. The annual deductible is $233 that you pay once a year. After which Medicare will pay 80%, you're responsible for the other 20%. And in 2018, Medicare paid 99% of their claims that were submitted. But you have Medicare options. You can stay with the original Medicare, Part A and Part B, add a Medicare supplement plan and a Part D. This is where it gets a little confusing. Or you can go with the Medicare Part C. Part C for me is a combination of everything. It includes your Part A, your Part B, and your Part D for your prescription drugs. And that is called a Medicare Advantage. That's all the commercials that you see on TV, all the phone calls that you're receiving, is everyone is trying to promote your Medicare Advantage plans. So to help with the original Medicare, you have the option of to add a Medicare supplement plans. Those are letters A through N. The plans vary based on your needs. The premiums vary, the deductibles vary, the co-insurance varies, but it is to help absorb that 20% co-insurance. Medicare Part D. These are included in the Medicare Advantage, or it's a standalone with the Medicare supplement plans. The cost varies, the covers varies, in enrollment. If you do not partake in a Part B plan, you can be penalized depending on how late you do enroll in a Part D. It's also based on your income. Most of them are included in your plan at no additional price. Again, related to your taxes, $182,000 if you file jointly, $91,000 if you filed individual. It's included in your plan. However, if you make more, then they're going to charge you more, and that is deducted from your Social Security check. Part D benefits, they have stage 1 through 4 or tier 1 through 4. Medicare will absorb majority of the cost at 80%. The plans have deductibles, some plans do not. Every plan starts January 1st. Medicare Advantage plan, again, this is what I was mentioning, that it's all included. It includes your Part A, your hospital inpatient stays, your Part B, your doctor visits, and your Part D, plus the extra benefits, the extra perks that you also get are dental, hearing, vision, gym membership, and transportation. The eligibility requirement for Medicare, you must be enrolled in Medicare Part A and Part B, and you must live in the service plan areas. You need to continue to pay your Part B premiums. Again, it talks about the penalties if you enroll in Part D late, or if you enroll in Part B late, there's also a penalty for that as well. Medicare Advantage plans also include free over-the-counter products, normally on a quarterly basis. You get dental coverage, routine foot care, fitness membership, hearing benefits, transportation, chiropractor, and vision. So which coverage is best for you? It's really on an individual basis, just trying to figure out what your needs are. You want to keep your original traditional Medicare with a supplement in Part D, or would the Medicare Advantage plan work for you? And these are other plans that you can fill in the gaps. Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned something about local area.
Yes, they must reside on Medicare Advantage within that county. So
Does that mean you can only get treatment in that county?
it depends on the plan that you select.
So when you say, I mean, we have to live in a county, I mean, of course we live in a county. What is it? You
Yes,
have to
but
live
if
in
you
the county
travel,
that's
if you travel to Houston
we're not
outside
covered?
of that area, you would still be covered on some plans.
Okay,
But if you travel outside the country, the same thing. But on an everyday basis, you need to live in that area and see doctors in that area. Okay, to help fill the gaps, they have other plans for nursing, assisted living, hospital, cancer, and funeral expense. Again, my name is Sherry. I wanted to say that if you have a plan, you're working with an agent, continue. If you're happy with the plan, continue. Try to avoid the commercials, the phone calls. It gets confusing. You can call the number on the back of your card. They would be happy to help you. I will be happy to help you, just to try to find the best plan for you. Have any questions?
Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank
It's very
you.
informative and
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Have a great day.
All right, under consent agenda, we have 4 items. And Lori's back from vacation, so she got some more donation for animal control. $105 from Star Farrell McDonald for donation of supplies valued at $105. And then I'm gonna butcher this name, but and you know who you are. Donate money for library.
second.
Motion made and seconded, Commissioner Laubach. Roll call.
Aye.
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 Aye. Item number 6.
I move to approve the second quarter 2022 report for the Texas Maritime Museum.
I'll say,
Motion made and seconded, Commissioner Russo. Good morning.
Judge Mills, good morning, all commissioners. Forgive me, I'm going to time myself because I know you guys are going to be here all day, and I apologize for that. Okay, thank you again for having me. As I mentioned, I'm going to try to keep this short since I know you guys are heavily booked. So I'm not going to go into all my regular spiel. I did want to show you this. I can't help myself. We've been looking for this image since 1986, Clive Cussler, when he first excavated the remnants of the Texas Navy warship Zavala. I've been looking for it since 2015. We found it in our own maritime library by accident. It's on the back of a business calling card from 1840. I will go into more depth about this at my next presentation, but I just wanted to show you this is an amazing piece of history that I've been looking for in the National Archives in DC, as well as the Library of Congress, as well as all of our records here in Austin, and have not been able to find it. And somehow it got donated to the museum 30 years ago. And it's the only one we know of in existence that shows us what Texas's first steam warship actually looked like. We're going to put it under a microscope, clean it up, and I'll go on to, yes, sir.
Said that's from Clive Cussler.
Clive Cussler started the excavation
That-
in
that's
19,
the, Arthur.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very grumpy man. He didn't like, we didn't get along. He didn't like me very much because I'm a maritime archaeologist and he's a treasure hunter, but his son and I get along quite well. But he had been looking for this, and it just so happened that somebody had donated off of the old, like an old business card from 1840. And I don't know how, but it's in the Maritime Museum. Came across it by accident while looking for some other stuff. I said I'd get to it next time, but I can't help myself. But to keep you guys on track, I can send it to you and I'll send you an email. Onto our general numbers. Our second quarter for the year did extremely well. Although it was slightly down from last year, this is because we had a smaller turnout to our wine festival this year. Last year, I think everybody just wanted to kind of get out of the house due to COVID. Nevertheless, our wine festival numbers were extremely good, and I'll get to that shortly. For our second quarter in 2021, we had 4,894 visitors. In 2022, we had 4,192. That's only a 14% decrease, so we're extremely happy with those numbers. And I know these are the numbers that right here that you're going to be more interested in terms of visitors 70 plus miles out. In 2021, we had 2,689 visitors for the second quarter. In 2022, we had approximately 2,111. I didn't include all those numbers in the spreadsheet because I don't have all of the exact zip codes. We had difficulty collecting this year, just as we did last year, as we were kind of getting inundated. This year, we also used a different counting system for Wine Festival tickets, something called free sale, which basically gave us statistics from an online program. Based on those statistics, 1,700 plus people came to the wine festival compared to 2,800 plus last year, of which this year, more than half of those were purchased from communities 70 plus miles out, which is amazing. Including all of the Wine Fest numbers, our 70 plus mile numbers out decreased by 21%. Again, we're still happy with those numbers because last year's Wine Festival was an anomaly and it really has thrown our numbers off. Again, everybody wanted to get out. So comparatively speaking, in 2019, we had 1628 compared to this year's 17 plus. So 4% increase to our general numbers. Our visitation records continue to do extremely well. Although we only have accounting for its first two quarters, we've had a 20% increase in attendance of 1,587 people, which is wonderful. I can't project the entire year in terms of attendance, but I would like you to look at our fiscal years between 2016 and 2022. As you can see, for first and second quarter, of 2022, we will still have extremely good attendance numbers for the full year if we continue in the same manner, and we'll probably break our record for last year. During my first quarter report, I mentioned that we were using a new program to map zip codes. This is something that Pat Russo had asked me to do. While we're still working on this, we continue to collect data so we can use it for these types of reports. So we're producing these heat maps showing where everybody's coming from, and we're getting percentages. So for instance, I can tell you all the percentages of people that came from between San Antonio and Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth. We're getting a lot more people from the Valley, of course, also from Houston, Galveston area. And that's how we're able to determine where to best promote advertisement and use any granted hot funds in a fiscally responsible way. In terms of our expenditures, the support of the county has been and always has been extremely helpful to our continued operation. As you can see in this sheet, the museum respectfully asks the county's granted curatorial and educational costs to remain the same. Again, due to limited time, I'm not going to go into all of the images and the programs, but they should be in your packets, and then you should be able to see pictures from all of the different educational events, the wine festival, and to see all the expanding programs that we're introducing. So as always, I'm going to flip through these real quick because as I said, they're in your packet. But thank you again for your support, your time, and as always, everything you guys do for the Texas Maritime Museum. Yes, ma'am. It was probably a mistake.
Next page, go one more. Other way.
Other way?
You passed it.
What page was it?
One more. One more. One more after that.
Yes, that's supposed to be second quarter. Yes, I had to do a report for Fulton and they're on a different fiscal year. No, ma'am. But again, thank you guys. I tried to keep it short this time. And I will get your email later, Mr. Cheney, and I will get that information to you.
Thank you,
Thank
Justin.
you.
Thank you,
Any
guys.
questions for him? Appreciate everything.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
very much.
Aye.
Commissioner Castro.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo. Commissioner Lavah.
Aye.
Judge Miller.
Aye, unanimous. Item number 7.
I move to approve accepting a portion of the private access easement Garza Acres subdivision located near Whispering Woods, Laura Garza Road, and Bernardi Road, as county rights of way to be included in the county road map as unpaved county road.
I'll second it.
Motion made and second, Commissioner Cheney. Discussion? Come on.
So this area is private subdivision. These are all private roads and there was a lot of drainage issues they had from last year. And I was asked to come out and take a look at it and see if there was something the county could do for them. And I believe there is from a drainage perspective, but these aren't county roads for us to deal with. And so I've talked to the property owners about giving these right-of-ways. Well, we talked a couple of things. First, a drainage easement for these roads. And then they brought the idea of just taking the whole right-of-way. And the thing that I like about this idea, other than fixing problems that are there, is this gives me access to a large drainage easement that's behind this in the Bell property. I could get access to there, put a gate there, be able to access and clean that drainage ditch out a lot easier than I can now. They understand that I am not saying I'm going to pave their road for them. I'm just going to take care of drainage. But as a county road right away, this could be subject for the county to pave it at some time if resources are available for that. But right now, it's just drainage work.
David, you said something about getting access to the area behind it. Did you call it the Bell area?
Yeah, we have a long
Is it
drainage ditch.
BELL?
Yeah, the Bells own that property. And it's a long drainage and we have access on either end, but this gives me a middle point to access.
We've, this is an area that, just for commissioners that may not have been here at the time, this is an area that we worked on for 4 or 5 years to get the drainage easement through the Bell property, which ended up being
Right.
very, very good property. But in the meantime, we talked with the folks at Lark Garson and Bernardi, and I forgot what the other road is down there.
Yeah.
But they're very interested in getting the road paved, but we could not get the consensus that we needed to do that. But they have continually stayed in contact with David and myself concerning the drainage and potential. So that is not a dead issue as of yet on the road. Maybe looking at over the next couple of years at looking at doing something a little different over there, maybe not including some of the side streets, which is where we got most of the opposition last time. But that was, they're very active over there and they're very easy to deal with. And, David's been working with them for, that's probably the second project you looked at whenever you got here, I guess. So it's been a while. So make a motion to approve.
It's been,
Oh, it's already has been. Yeah, we were, sorry. Aye.
aye.
Aye, unanimous. Thank you. Item number 8.
I move to approve the proposed amount of indigent healthcare expenditures for fiscal year September 1st, 2022 through August 31st, 2023, based on 8% of the gross revenue tax levy as calculated by the Aransas County Tax Assessor Collector on State Comptroller Form 50-252.
Second.
Motion made and second, Commissioner Casterline.
So every year we
And when we say mandated expense, as I understand it, that doesn't mean we're required to spend this. It means that until we spend at least that much, we're not eligible for reimbursement from the state for 90% of any excess. I mean, for that matter, we can decide to spend zero. I mean, some years we don't usually spend more than about half of that 8%, right? Okay. So we're not mandated to spend it. We're just not eligible for excess aid unless we spend at least that much.
up to.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline, Commissioner Russo, Commissioner Laubach.
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Item number 9. Oh, discuss this, I'm sorry. Yeah. Vote, discuss proposed 2022 tax rate, scheduled public hearing for Monday, August 22nd at 8:30 a.m. Jackie?
Y'all have some papers that I passed out.
Yeah.
The first one, Commissioner Casterline had asked me if I would compare tax rates to a property value as it had increased over the years. And so this one with the yellow highlighting shows you what a specific tax bill for a citizen would look like. And with what it was in 20, 21, and 22 with the no new revenue rate. Actually, the bill has reduced each year using the no new revenue rates. The highlighted area would be if we increased it by 1 cent, 2 cents, and use the voter approval rate, what that would do to a tax bill for a citizen. Mind you, this is a very low, not a less than average, but it would be comparable to any of them. Whatever their taxes are would basically do the same.
So it is my understanding that we can use the no new net revenue tax rate this year and still cover our budget. It's because of the
No, ma'am, it's not
calculations.
gonna Cover the budget.
I mean,
we're
cover the
still
budget that we
going
talked
into-
about last week, which is a certain amount of invasion of the general reserve, but still leaving
Right,
us
it
with
would-
over
it
6
would
million.
change the amount, it would reduce the amount we're going to go into reserves.
But we can stay at above 6 million in reserves and use the no new revenue tax rate.
This year, yes.
This year.
ma'am. You will notice at the bottom of that, we always tell you that our new construction is the given, is the extra that we get. With the no new revenue rate, that has actually reduced it. We have gone into or will go into the new construction by about $100,000 if we take the no new revenue rate.
But we still have excess funds coming from new construction that can cover things like inflation and population growth.
Well, this year it would only be like $200,000, $270,000. Because this is the new construction.
But I keep coming back to, we can end up with more than a $6 million reserve if we stay with the no new revenue tax rate. And that's more than the reserve we had going into the worst hurricane to hit this county in a century.
Yes, ma'am. You will be reducing the reserves. But next year, the budget will still do the same. It will require us going into reserves again. If we don't look at something and plan for the future, we will continue to dip into the reserves.
We're keeping the reserves at a reasonable level, so I don't call it dipping yet. If we have to face the issue of dipping in the future, we can always talk about a tax rate change in the future. But this year, our reserve is staying at a very reasonable level with
Yes,
a
ma'am,
no
this
new
year.
revenue tax rate.
Yes, ma'am, it is this year, yes.
Personally, I think 1 cent would be the wise choice, but that's just my thought. Any further discussion?
Yeah, you know,
I-
we're looking at, I never like, I don't necessarily like having a huge reserve, but I never like looking at knowing that we're gonna have to go into the reserve. Our bills are the same or more, and I go along with the 1 cent. I'd really like enough in there where I could give the employees at least a 3% COLA, because their expenses have gone up just like ours have. And so I'm in favor of the 1 cent.
I move to propose the 2022 tax rate at the no new revenue tax rate of 0.00348,411, and to schedule the public hearing for Monday, August 22nd, 2022 at 8:30 a.m.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Nay.
Commissioner Casterline,
Nay.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Laubach,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Nay. 3 against, 2 for. Go ahead.
I propose to use the tax rate of 0.358411, which is the 1 cent increase.
I'll second that.
Motion made, second, Commissioner Cheney. Any discussion?
This is, it's going to
Roll
have an
call.
impact on what kind of budget we can agree on.
Pardon?
There are budget changes I can live with if we can do them without a tax hike. But that I can't live with if we're doing a tax hike. It's just me, it's just one vote. I'm
All right.
just
Roll
saying
call.
that's my view.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Yes.
Commissioner Laubach,
Nay.
Judge Mills.
Aye, 3 for, 2 against.
Will that motion still, because we will need a public hearing with that 1 penny, so we would need to, I'm assuming. have
Need
a
another
separate
motion for the public
that.
You
hearing.
amend the motion, Commissioner Casterline?
Yes,
Can we
I
just
do.
move separately to schedule the public hearing? I move to schedule the public hearing for Monday, August 22nd.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call.
Commissioner, this is for the whole thing, correct? For the 1 cent and the scheduled hearing?
But you can get a unanimous vote on the hearing. You're just going to get a couple of nays, whichever way you want to do it.
Well, she can, or we can amend Commissioner Cheney's to include that, right?
Sure, if you don't care about getting a unanimous vote for it, it probably doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
All right, so we've got an amended, is that correct, or 2 separate? Your call, Judge.
Amen.
Good amended.
Good. Amended.
Okay, we amended, and that would been Commissioner Casterline. Do you have an amendment to include the scheduled public hearing for Monday, August 22nd, along at 8:30, along with the 1 cent?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Okay, and do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, great. New vote, Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casper.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Nay.
Commissioner Laubach,
Nay.
Judge Mills.
Aye. 3 for, 2 against.
I move to approve the July 2022 Auditor's Monthly Report.
Second.
If you have
Motion
any
made,
questions, I'll
second,
be
Commissioner
happy to
Casterline.
answer them.
Pardon me?
I just, if there's any questions on the report, I would be happy to answer them.
Any questions? Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Laubach.
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Item number 11, discuss and take action on elected official salaries and expenses to be included in the budget.
Where do they stand? Are we proposing increases for anyone?
Right now, it's just what we currently have.
Baseline.
I'm trying to understand if we're being asked to vote for a COLA for anyone or for everyone as part of this motion.
That has not come to a vote yet. So elected official salaries are remaining the same as of right now as last year.
They're basically, with this item, you're effectively a COLA, a COLA or not for elected officials. Oddly enough, you always have to do it before you do it.
Okay, so I mean, what's the form of motion if we don't want any increase in anything?
Well, this is when you sign the form and you elect to take a COLA if there is an approved COLA.
Each of us individually does, but we're being asked to vote on the entire slate, and I'm asking what it looks like.
I don't think I'm understanding what you're saying.
Motion that would just say that we approve elected official salaries as they now stand with no COLA.
Well, if you don't approve the COLA, it's a negative question anyway. It doesn't mean anything.
Right, it doesn't. The only point of this is in order to have it published in the paper once
After everybody
salaries
signs.
are approved.
Yeah.
Here's the problem I'm having. I don't understand what I would be voting on. I would like to vote not to raise any salaries for elected officials or anyone else. What form does the motion need to take in order for that to be the case?
Actually,
Otherwise, I just know I need to vote no.
I have a note on my, my agenda that I made. This is just a discussion. It's to get everyone to sign that. We will not take any action on this until the 29th when we do the budget. So there is no action actually to be taken on this.
Okay.
It is only
So there's no
discussion.
motion.
Super.
There's no motion. It's just
All right.
discussion.
Okay, so
Discussion's over
we
then.
just skip 11 then.
So do we need to make a change because the agenda reflects action? We just
If
Oh,
necessary.
We're
make a
just going to
correction or
table it?
table it?
Can we be told who is asking for a raise? If there's a COLA?
Nobody has asked for any raise.
Nobody has been at, no elected official has asked to be included in a COLA.
No, the COLA. Base rate, nobody's asked for. Pass a COLA, they just
On
think
the
whether they
forms
want to
that
accept
signed,
a
has
COLA or
anybody
not.
asked for it? If there's a COLA,
Has-
we do have.
Anybody
No,
asked to
no, the
accept a
answer to
COLA?
That is no.
The form I saw, I thought had at least one person say yes.
We do have some that have asked and requested if there's a COLA that they be included in it. Yes,
May we
ma'am.
know who those are? They're elected officials. It's a public issue.
I asked to do it. I do it every year.
Anyone else?
We've had Anna, treasurer, district clerk,
District clerk?
county clerk, as well as the treasurer. I mean, their expenses are going up just like everybody else.
I'm not arguing the merits right now. I just want to know who asked for it. I think the taxpayers deserve to know that, especially among elected voted officials voting on their tax rate.
That wasn't a COLA.
Those that were mentioned are the only ones that have signed the form so
Okay.
far.
Thanks.
And only one commission. Is that what you're saying?
That's me.
And Commissioner Casterline.
I didn't
Thank you.
ask for a raise. I just signed the form that
Right.
if a COLA was giving, that I would
Correct.
take it.
That's exactly right.
All right, item number 12.
Do we need to table item 11?
Move to table item 11.
I'll
Motion
second
made,
that.
second, Commissioner Russo, roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Lavah,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Now, item 12. Discuss and receive information from the public concerning the budget issues, including the possibility of changing current allocation of hotel occupancy tax funds for the year 2023.
So we have several people here today, I think.
Yes, I'm gonna get to that in just a minute. We have several people here. Sharon Laughlin, would you like to come up?
Thank you. I'm Sharon Laughlin. Everybody probably knows me already from the Fulton Oyster Fest. We started this 43 years ago. Every dime that the Oyster Fest makes goes to the Fulton Volunteer Fund. We don't take a dime home. We're all unpaid. And we're just asking if y'all would like to give us any help on our advertisement. I gave y'all all a sheet. this is what we make and what we've spent on our advertising. We advertise throughout the state of Texas. And of course, we have Winter Texans, everything else down here. Any questions?
We all know what a success the Oyster Fest is and how much it helps the Fulton Fire Department. So I don't have any questions and I don't have any problems with it.
Is your request for $11,788? Because that's what you cited as your expense in 2022. Or are you asking for a portion of that?
Yeah, just a portion of it, yes.
What
We'll take
portion?
whatever we could get. I mean, we could take it all. We could take as little as y'all have. We're not going to be greedy about anything.
I would recommend that we consider, given we've allocated, I think, we talked about doing $7,500 for a Mardi Gras. I would say that we should give them at least that much.
I agree with that.
I'm fine with that.
I have questions, but please don't take them as opposing this request at all. I don't. I just want to make sure I'm clear in my head. Are we doing the same as last year or are we increasing?
I'm
We didn't
sorry.
give them anything last year.
Okay, so
No, we
if this
never
would
got a
be,
thing.
this is the first time and it would be
Yes.
about 1,100.
Yes.
11,800. Thank you. That's all I wanted.
Well, no, we're proposing that we would give them what we're.
7,500.
Oh, so it'd be how much?
7,500.
We
75.
gave,
That's
we,
what I would recommend.
we
unless somebody
budgeted
else-
8,000 for La Mardi Gras.
That's what I thought.
Do what?
We budgeted 8,000 for La Mardi
All
Gras.
right, well, I would
So we say
amend
eight-
my recommendation to at least
8,000.
I'll second that.
that. And that doesn't necessarily mean that either one of you get that, you'll have to submit bills up to that amount.
Yes.
And we'll reimburse.
Undoubtedly, y'all do over that. so
Oh, yeah,
you would
yeah.
have
I
to-
mean, and this, I'm sure that's just a small part of our advertising on that.
Okay, it looks like you get $8,000.
That works.
Y'all do a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Sharon.
Thank you.
So is that in the budget now? I didn't see that this is an action type of an item.
Well, it's in the hot funds budget. Or do we have to take, how do hot funds?
We don't have to take action on them. We will put those in the budget whenever it's adopted. You'll
Just a
see those.
recommendation.
So it'll be part of the budget adoption
we-
action. Okay, so we don't do it today.
Okay, Alan with Fulton Mansion.
Morning, Judge. Which one am I talking into? Both of these? Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. Thank you for having us. My name is Alan Lee with the Fulton Mansion. I have Jen McCullough. She's the newest space in town at the Fulton Mansion. She's been here almost 6 months now. I just want to bring her up here so you knew her face. I gave you each a packet that has 4 years of our past data. And if you just look at 2020 and 2021, you have 2 pie charts under each.
Alan, is it this?
Yes,
packet?
ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So would you
Appendix.
repeat what you're? is
The
in
2
here?
pie charts, the one on the far right is our in-state attendance was 20,000, about 21,000, and our out-of-state attendance was 2,600. And then the little pie chart next to that is the economic impact, and it was right at $400,000 brought in. Most of our 60% of our in-state are coming from at least 60 miles away. That's San Antonio, Austin, Houston, Dallas. And we have a very steady weekly attendance. We're using geofence technology to get all this data, and you can get people's age, race, educational background, zip code, and income level. The only 2 things that we can't get are names and addresses. The next page with the map, is just the same data just mapped out, kind of like Justin had. And then hourly event times, people, the hot times people come in. And then the next one is a Rockport pilot ad, which brings us to why we're here today. The state of Texas gives us $2,000 a year for advertisement in local and area publications. And by the time we do 10 of these in the Rockport, 10 months in the Rockport pilot, that's $2,000 is pretty much gone. And we'd like to up our game and start advertising in wedding magazines, wedding venues, to get more big groups like that come into Rockport and put heads in bed so the economic impact increases even more. And I gave you each, there's the Wacoan magazine ad just for examples of prices. They're usually 2/3, half page, about $800 each. And we'd like to do some in Corpus, San Antonio, maybe as high as Dallas. Unless you got anything.
Yeah, so one of the things that we're excited about that we're looking forward to is, as you can see from our graphs, we have steady attendance. We are not a site that has one festival weekend a year. We keep people coming in on those off weekends, which is one of the exciting things for us. So if we can bring more of those destination weddings, if we can bring and help attract conventions, we really want to up our advertising game because we're very limited for the state funding. So we're just excited about promoting new weekends, new ventures for people to come down.
So what kind of an advertising budget for next year are you guys looking at?
15,000.
Okay.
Is the goal.
And you only get 2 from the state. So you're looking for somewhere else for the president.
Yes.
Yeah.
So-
How was the number of annual boosters that y'all have compared to other venues in town?
In town, well, I don't know. I think we're this, behind the beach, I think we're the second highest. Luis may know more about his.
I know it's busy all the time. I drive by there quite often.
Yeah, on Saturday, we had 100 people and we had no internet, so I had to let everybody in for free because we couldn't run credit cards.
Oh, boy.
I would suggest that we should consider making the Fulton Mansion site equal to the Maritime Museum. Put them on a percentage basis, like Maritime Museum, Art Museum.
And what are those percentages of those 4?
4%.
I think it's 4%.
And what does that in an average year work out to in dollars? So they would still have to, it wouldn't mean a flat rate of 30,000, but if they had ads up to that amount and the revenues were there, they could get up to 30,000 in ads.
Well, with those, correct me if I'm wrong, it's based on our revenues and it's distributed by the revenues they get 4%.
Right. So
They
if,
have to come in and give a report, but it's not based on
Right.
receipts like the others. are.
No, it's not
but
based
I don't
on,
mean receipts. I guess I meant revenues, receipts of
Right.
taxes.
And if our revenues are less, then they get less, but it
Right.
would be up to 4% of whatever the revenues are. Even if they're higher, then they get more than that. That's how.
Right.
the
In other
ones that
words,
get The percentages work.
4% of revenues, we guess might be around 30, could be 20, could be
Right,
40, but we
it-
think about
it's-
30.
We're anticipating about 30,000.
Whatever that number is, based on 4% in a calculation, you could get up to that amount, but you'd have to actually show us ad receipts.
Report.
No,
I
they
don't-
get
it's
the
not
money.
receipts themselves. They just
They
have to
get the
give us
money.
the quarterly reports, the same as Maritime Museum
Oh.
and.
If you, wait, if you're on a flat percentage, you just get the money, you don't have to show ad receipts, is that correct?
Yes,
They
ma'am.
come
but
in
They
and-
have to give us, the report on what they've done with the money. Yes.
I shouldn't say receipts, I don't mean literally pieces of paper, but evidence of expenditure of funds.
Yes, they have to give us their expenditures.
Okay, thanks.
But if they don't spend the 30,000, there's not a clawback. Is that what I hear you saying?
They don't get the money until they show they've spent it, I guess. It's,
No, we.
No,
we
they
do
get it up
give We
front.
do give it quarterly and there is no clawback on it.
We- but we just sort of make them show us as time goes on that they're qualifying.
Yes,
And I guess we would
yes.
change
They
the
usually,
allocation
they,
if
they
it,
give us a plan, a budget in the beginning, so they know what they're gonna spend the money on. And then they have to report to us quarterly on what they've done.
and if it turned out after a couple of quarterly reports that it wasn't happening, we would just revisit it next time we were allocating funds.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, if 1 month is in one magazine is $1,200 for an ad.
Yeah, we were trying to budget which wedding magazine we would be able to put it in, so we would be thrilled.
The actual receipt that needs to be a part of your budget in advertising.
And you guys may already have talked to those guys, but they have a procedure they follow. You should just
I'll talk to Justin.
adopt it.
all right, any further discussion?
So we're making them a 4% status.
Well, that's.
I mean,
proposed.
proposing
We
for the
haven't done
budget.
anything
Discuss that
yet.
and
That's
work
what
on
we're
that at
discussing, Jay.
workshop.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Luis?
Good morning. Honorable Judge Mills and members of the court, thank you for your kind invitation to have the Rockport Center for the Arts speak in relation to requesting additional HOT funds to be used towards marketing in the upcoming fiscal year. In fiscal year 2022, after 3 quarters, we have actually received $17,040 or 88% of what was budgeted for the entire year. With 1 quarter left, we project that actual will exceed budget for the 3rd year in a row. This trend started in 2020 with HOT fund overages in both fiscal years 2020 and 2021. For 2023, the county has allocated $32,000 in HOT funds for fiscal year 2023, or you're planning to allocate that. We submitted a marketing proposal in June with a lot of details about our advertising and marketing campaigns and the people that we partner with to make results for cultural tourism happen. And that request was for $40,000 with the additional $8,000 to be used towards marketing a new performing and culinary arts program. Our normal budget, usually you support several activities, which is the art festival, the sculpture garden, just direct advertising as a whole, and then of course, the calendar of exhibitions. As I presented in the first quarter in 2022, in 2023, we'll also be featuring a traveling show from the state of Wisconsin, and we will be expending considerable funds to market birds and art outside of our region. That will be an exhibit that will happen between the months of January and March of next year in our new facilities. We thank you for your consideration. We know that you have a lot of organizations to consider, and I know that you have a budget plan of 4%. But if there is additional funds that could be allocated for the performing arts, we will be very, very happy to receive them. Thank you, sir.
So don't go yet. So let me understand. You're also right now on a 4%
Yes, ma'am.
standard, and we're thinking that's roughly 30,000, understanding that that's a moving number.
Yes, ma'am.
What you're saying is it would be really great if you could have some more than that because you have other advertising plans and you could certainly use more than 30.
Right. With new facilities and new programs, there's going to be more burden to promote those activities as well. We are getting $145,000 from the city of Rockport just for our art program alone. And we just, would like to be able to do marketing campaigns for the performing arts program.
So can you, what are you asking for in addition to 4%? What's a proposal?
$8,000 more instead of $3,240.
Or instead of 4%, whatever that is, 4% plus 8,000.
Exactly.
Basically wants 40,000.
Is it possible to do kind of a partial percentage and partial cash, or do we have to do all one or the other?
I don't see why you couldn't do one or the other. We could just,
So 4% plus flat 8,000 would solve your problem. Okay. And it might be okay under the statute. That's just the stuff I need to figure out.
I will look at it
There's
and
no
double check
problem.
and make sure, but I don't know that there's an issue on it.
By the way, I just would like to add that, the Arts Center has, like, all of the funds that we receive from the county are kept in a separate account, and they're not commingled with our operating funds, and those funds are used primarily in all our advertising and marketing campaigns. So, and, we recommend that other organizations follow suit as well, in the event you have questions about how the funds are being expended.
The hot funds are very specific as to what they can be spent on.
Yes, sir.
Here, I need to ask a general question about hot funds and make sure I'm telling the public accurately about this. As I understand it, this is not part of the general budget. It is strictly in a hot funds account. We're only allowed to spend the hot fund receipts a certain way. And if we don't spend them in any one year, they just pile up.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you, Luis.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you're doing in the community, Luis.
Thank you, Luis.
Andy Grunberg.
So are we agreeing that we can put that in the budget and then we'll talk about it when we go to the budget again? 4% plus 8,000.
Yes.
Trying to take, how do I? Oh, here it is. Oh, I see. Morning.
morning.
My name is Andy Grunberger. I'm here to present to you guys an idea. I have a website that I've been running for 5 years. The four main things I'd like to do here is formally introduce rockportfulton.com and the value it brings. Make leadership of Aransas County aware of my project. Show you what rockportfulton.com is doing currently, and show data and open your imagination as to the possibilities of how we can work together in the future to better serve Aransas County. I was trying to kind of condense this down. I don't want to take too much of your time. So I've been a resident of Aransas County for 37 years. I have a special set of skills that not many people have. I'm good with computer technology and software programming. I'm an FAA certified drone pilot. I'm considered a subject matter expert in the field of search engine optimization and technology when it comes to digital media, as I've been working with it for over 30 years. Other assets that I currently own and manage are saltwaterfishingtexas.com, grandbahamas.com, surfingchannel.org, inspectioninternational.com, scienceprojects.net, and of course, my personal favorite and what we're about to talk about and focus on today, rockportfulton.com. Rockportfulton.com is the most advanced, custom-built modern website in Aransas County. It was built for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to act as a public relations interface and drive large amounts of visitors to Aransas County with advertising, using high-quality content for visitors to interact with, as well as to provide beneficial resources for visitors as well as residents. RockportFulton.com Media is a self-funded, non-membership-based online content management system and public relations tool that serves as a visitor information center, an event delegate registration system, and direct advertising, solicitation, and promotion tool targeting local tourism and the hotel and convention industry in the city of Rockport, the town of Fulton, and in Aransas County in its entirety. RockportFulton.com is an age domain that's over 10 years old. Google grades websites with several quality guidelines, one very important factor being the age of the domain, which contributes to a term called domain authority. RockportFulton.com is ranked in the top 3 of the 59 entities in Aransas County as far as size and overall traffic and reach that help with or have something to do with distribution of information or indirectly assist in the promotion of tourism and the hotel and convention industry. We are not associated with any political or civic organization. The only thing we serve is our users and our current base of over 30,000 fans. Being local and possibly behind on technology, you may not know or have heard of us. Or if you are not familiar with terms like hashtags, search volumes, keyword research, web crawlers, sitemaps, analytics, you may not see the value that a domain like rockportfulton.com has in the whole scheme of things. Most businesses, government entities, and nonprofits in Aransas County have no clue what's really going on with their websites or website traffic or how to optimize or develop it for functionality. RockportFulton.com is a project, not a business. Its operation of website and media assets are self-funded through its small affiliate revenues of around $150 per month. Any remaining costs are currently covered by its webmaster and founder, me. Media content is created through local artists, businesses, nonprofits, and volunteers. All revenue generated is used to cover the cost of keeping its presence online. It has no paid staff. The website and its media assets currently have ad reaches of around 500,000 monthly and gets over 14,000 direct website visitors through its search engine optimized content. Hundreds of hours of programming and content creation were invested in building this powerful tool that can reach millions of people through the United States and the world free of charge, and can be run and managed from a simple smartphone. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you guys. Let me see. Can you see the? It did switch over.
Did you have links across the top, right, for the different areas?
Okay, yeah. So I'll just go, like I said, I'm just going to kind of show you guys the what this site does. Okay, it's kind of in two parts. So I have the website, and then I also have a social media kind of area of the, you know, as an overall, as a project. Okay.
Show us, pretend we're a would-be tourist thinking of coming to Rockport. Show us where
Okay,
we'd click.
so I have, you know, currently I have maybe there's about 300 pages. Okay, so when you build a page, you kind of, what you want is you want to let Google, you notify them of your website, and what it does is it kind of sends these little crawlers, is what they're called. They kind of crawl through your website, and that's how you get into the search rankings. Okay, so when people search certain items, you know, of course, what you want to do is you want to be on the first page, because that's where really all the traffic comes from, and it's free traffic.
This
So-
is like, suppose I live in Dallas and somebody told me the Fulton Mansion's interesting. I type in Fulton Mansion. This has to do with whether Fulton Mansion comes right up on the first page, maybe the first listing, and it's the right Fulton
Yes.
Mansion.
Correct. But, you know, we're also competing with other entities like, let's say Travelocity or TripAdvisor or Expedia.com, things like that. Okay, so here an example being, can you see? Okay, so let's look at the Fulton Fishing Pier, right? That's kind of a new entity in town. It's been super busy. I promote it quite regularly. As you can see, my website is ranked on the #1 spot on Google,
And 2 and 3.
right? When you click on it, right, it takes you takes you to the site. What I do is I try to provide you know, some really detailed information. Let's see if it's
And all these aerials are from you, right? It's from your
correct.
video equipment.
Correct. Right. So, you know, and so what I do is I place free ads. I've been really, I have this tool, like, I noticed, you know, a lot of people are like, hey, well, we want this budget for advertising. Well, I just want everybody to be aware that, hey, I have this tool here that, right, anybody's welcome to use that. I mean, I have an audience just right off the bat of 30,000 people. So, you know, and they're not all local. I mean, most of them are from all over the state. You know, and so what I do is, like I said, I place ads. I use my social media to daily place ads for different things. I mean, anything from a photograph to a video to a link, anything that has to do with Rockport Fulton, that's what I do. Okay.
So they're like ads in that they provide information to people who might want to come buy something, but they're unlike ads in that what you're actually doing is providing free links to information about attractive things. Like you go find events listed on Facebook or wherever and link them to your site. So if anybody's looking for a barbecue or a festival or Oyster Fest or Le Mardi Gras, they can find it easily through your site.
Yeah. So one of the things we've done is, so what you were talking about is an event. Okay. I've developed a tool that anybody that creates an event on Facebook, the website automatically picks that feed up and actually puts it on an events calendar. So if you go here to the,
But does it do that for Aransas County location or
yeah,
the
any,
state of Texas?
well, so of course, I just narrowed it to Aransas County. Right, I'm not, so you can kind of see, right here we are on the 15th. You can see on the 10th, we have Archery 101, which I believe that's, see if you click on it, right? It kind of pulls up some additional information, kind of says, hey, this is an event put on by Goose Island State Park, Texas Parks and Wildlife, kind of gives you all the, right? So that's done kind of semi-automatically, right? I don't want somebody creating some crazy event, it just goes on there automatically. So I do have a kind of a safeguard where I check, but my thing is really just time and, I'm trying to automate things, right? Trying to create tools to benefit, benefit the user of the website. Another thing that I'll show you guys real quick that I can do is see, I'm trying to, okay, get this out of the way. Okay, so I have this media kind of section. One of the things that people love is, so I have a 24-hour camera going on at the Rockport Beach, right? There's a camera. Really, the navigation district kind of put it out there, like they don't really promote it or anything. But I said, hey, yeah, this is a great resource, right? So, I mean, I literally have people waking up at the crack of dawn, logging into my website to watch the sunrise, from Rockport Beach. It's on 24 hours a day. Now their camera went down, so I can't really, I'm kind of waiting on that, right? But another tool that I created was this news page. What it does is I can tell it, okay, so let's say, people have, of course they have like a social media page. And what they do is they post things. So what this tool does is it automatically picks up page feeds. And so what it does, it's just a news channel that kind of points to different organizations. Like right now I have Another Chance RFT. We have Experience Downtown Rockport, Texas. The Fulton Mansion, historic sites on there. Visit Rockport Fulton. I have Aransas County, Texas. So anything that you guys post, right, it automatically kind of posts it on here for you guys.
Okay, Andy, we're starting to run out of time.
All right, I'm sorry.
So Mr. Grimberger, what you're describing is something you offer for free, and I don't
Yeah.
know how we can legally get money to you under your structure and under our hot fund structure, but if we found a way to funnel money to you somehow, what would you spend it on?
Well, so what I need to do is I'm looking to create more content.
Right, so what do you want to buy?
Well, there's, I'd like to hire somebody that can actually like a good writer to write some articles. There's I've identified
Okay, so
8.
Salary, you're gonna run out of time. So salary, maybe for some staff, perhaps authors. I think you mentioned video cameras, drone equipment.
Yeah, there's a 360 camera that that I'd
Costs
like.
how much?
Andy, if we want to follow up with you, how do we get a hold of you on
My email is info@rockportfulton.com.
Andy, have you talked to like other sites that we fund with advertising money? Have you approached them about being involved in your site? I mean, I know I've
Well-
watched the videos before and you do
Sure.
a great job of it, but I'm
It's something I've talked to
Well,
about
I mean,
also.
that's one
Ironically,
of
you'd
the
have
reasons
to,
I'm here, right? I mean, I'd like to formally introduce myself. I've never, right? I'm not part of any organization or any, right? So a lot of people don't know who I am or what I'm doing.
you know,
right, so,
it's exactly the issue I was bringing up with him
Right? I
earlier,
mean,
that we can't, one way to get money to him is for other people to buy ads on his site, and we give money to those people. But right now, that's not the way his site's set up. He does it for free. So we'd have to talk about a whole restructuring and to find a way to fund this.
All right, Mr. Grunberger, because of the time limits, we're gonna have to call it into this.
Yeah, no problem.
We'll look into it and see what we can do
All
and
right.
get back with you. All right?
But thanks
Appreciate
for
it.
your
Thank
website.
you.
It really is terrific.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Item number 13.
I move to approve and authorize the county judge to sign the renewal of the adoption agreement and the certificate of resolution R 2022 for the section 125 premium only plan, which allows an employee's insurance premium contributions for qualifying health, dental, and life insurance policies to be deducted from his or her payroll on a pre-tax basis.
I'll second that.
Motion made, second Commissioner Cheney. Any discussion?
No, as I understand it, this doesn't cost the county anything, but the tax law requires us to have a resolution in this form in order for the premiums to be deducted this way, and in order for the employees to get the favorable after-tax, pre-tax, I'm sorry, after-tax, pre-tax treatment on their paychecks.
Nominal fee.
It does cost $185 a year.
$185. Okay, nominal cost,
$185.
but this is
But-
not like we're paying for a benefit. This is
Right,
really just
no,
a
this is
legal
just to
thing.
allow us to take the pre-tax dollars.
And it actually saves the county money.
Budget.
Yes, last year we saved, or this year up to, they're looking at $144,759 that it saves between the county and the employees.
Sorry, say again, how much? 100.
$144,759.
Not bad for a short investment.
Yeah, it only costs us 185 and some paperwork.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Laubach.
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Item 14.
I move to approve budget line item transfers.
Motion made, second Commissioner Casterline.
We have none at this time.
Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline. Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Laubach.
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye. Item 15.
move to approve accounts payable and payroll and payroll level.
Second.
Motion made, second Commissioner Cheney. Any,
This, oh, I'm sorry, this
Go ahead.
was only payroll liabilities, and our debt service interest payments were made on this one.
any further discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline. Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Laubach.
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye. Unanimous. Now's the time for any elected official or department head have anything to bring up to share with the rest of us. Now's the time to do it.
I would like to mention two things. Jace Tunnel with the Mission Aransas NER will be here in 2 weeks to talk about the proposed testing that we discussed back in, I think, late April. We were going to work with the navigation district. That original testing plan and investigation of the red beds over in Aransas County, just off 188, has been expanded because the Coastal Bend Bays and Estuaries program has decided to go in with our two entities. And so it will double the amount of the testing and increase the length of the time. He'll give a full explanation about that. They do believe they can still get us the first results of the testing in December. So that's one thing. And I want to thank Sheriff Mills and our new fire marshal that in the last 2 weeks 10 citations have been issued for violations of the burn ban. I'm sorry there have been that many, but I am glad that they are actively pursuing that. So thank you.
Any further? Yes, ma'am.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Laura Caesar, Animal Control Director. I wanted to share with you on Thursday, I attended a meeting with Coastal Bend Community Foundation associated with People Assisting Animals Corpus Christi. The $125,000 grant this year was divided among 7 counties. We will receive $18,000 towards free spay and neuter for selected residents. It was going to be set up by streets. We're kind of going to look at logistically how to get them there. They're doing all the paperwork. I just have to supply the people. So it's a great opportunity. Maybe we can get some of these in that normally couldn't get in. So I just wanted you to be aware.
So this is a new grant that we haven't received before?
I'm not aware of
Recently?
it before. So yeah, I was
Not-
just
not recently, at
contacted
least.
to attend. So
Great.
Thanks.
well, yeah, we're fortunate. We don't have to share. All the other counties have to share with all their municipalities. So we got the whole thing. So it makes it really nice.
Great work.
That's
Lorraine.
great. Thank you. All right, I need a motion to adjourn. Motion made, second Commissioner Cheney. Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Laubach,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Now I'll call the workshop to,
Take a break.
yes, 5-minute break. Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye. or
Commissioner
here?
Casterline,
Here.
Commissioner Russo. Here. Commissioner Laubach,
Here.
Judge Mills.
Here, we have a quorum. And we're talking about the 2023 budget. I would like to call up Craig, right? Craig,
Greg Falconer.
who's gonna? Greg, come on up here. All right, with your team. Yeah, let's talk about the,
Scott Joslo should be online as well. So I'll let him continue and then we'll chime in after myself.
okay. Come on in. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
All right, it's an honor to be with all of you. I am Scott Joslove, and I'm president of the Texas Hotel and Lodging Association. And I've done this, served the lodging industry for 23 years, and in this capacity as president and CEO. And one of the programs that we created maybe about a decade ago, and it's been one of our most popular programs that we have, is what's called a group listing program. And what that does is we're a nonprofit organization. We saw that the governor's office had a website, www.traveltexas, that they spend about 140 million every 2 years promoting that site. So all leads for their marketing campaign in Texas go to that www.traveltexas.com site for tourism and travel options. But there were no hotels listed. So we made an agreement with them that we would, as the State Hotel Association, try to get as many short-term rentals and hotels, and from the smallest B&B to the largest convention center hotel, all listed on that site. And so we work in partnership with the Governor's Office of Tourism to make that happen. And we have about 150 different communities that work with us throughout Texas. Dallas lists all of their properties on this site. Corpus Christi, Galveston. I mean, the list goes on and on. Fort Worth, Arlington, San Antonio. And so we work with the governor's office to get all these properties listed. And we noticed when we were working with Aransas County and Rockport and Fulton that y'all have about 476 properties, including a large amount of short-term rentals, and only 6 of them were currently listed on the state travel website. So we came up with a proposal to get them all listed. It's the same proposal that we have with the other communities throughout the state. And normally the cost for getting all the properties listed and keeping that updated every year would be about $24,000. We lowered it down to a discounted rate of $16,000, a flat annual fee. And what that does is it provides every one of those 476 properties with an individual listing on that site. And again, that's the site that the state spends all of their promotion of Texas money, that 140 million leading to that site. It also lists all those properties on traveltexas.com, texaslodging.com, and tourtexas.com. Additionally, part of our group membership program, and there's a memo that all of you should have covering all this that we had sent to the judge, also provides operational assistance to all the lodging operators. We find for a lot of the short-term rentals and the smaller operators in our leisure areas, they have lots of legal questions about application of the hotel tax, slip and fall, liability for property, what to do about all the different state regulatory provisions, exemptions, things like that. So we have a full legal staff of 3 full-time attorneys that advise all these operators on a day-to-day basis on any of their questions. And then we also come out regularly to our group listing cities and provide seminars on promoting tourism, on use of the local hotel tax, legislative updates on all the new laws that apply to lodging operators. So it's been a very win-win scenario between the local communities and our nonprofit state lodging association to try to get these hotels and short-term rentals all marketed, all promoted, and make sure that they operate in the best way possible within their communities. So that's what we're presenting to you to let you know. As I said, we already have existing agreements right now with Galveston. We have one with Corpus Christi. We have one with Port Aransas. We have one with 150 other cities and counties throughout the state, and that number is constantly growing. I'd be glad to take any questions. I know there are two witnesses, Jatine and I think Craig may be here from the hotel community to speak in support of this proposal, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
What is the proposal exactly?
The proposal, I'm sorry that I didn't make that clear, is to partner with you for a group listing program at a discounted price of $16,000 a year to list all of your 476 STR and other lodging properties on the state tourism website and two other lodging websites, texaslodging.com and tourtexas.com.
So we're talking about a $16,000 application to the Hot Funds account. Is that correct?
Yes, an annual application, yes.
And I'm sorry, Scott, tell me your last name. I didn't catch it.
It is Joslove, JOS as in Sam, LOVE. And I'm the president of the Texas Hotel Association.
And what would that $16,000 be covered? I know, you said you would put the 476 rental units that are here in the community on there. And the 18 or the 16,000 is what your fee
Yep.
per site?
Yeah, we're trying to understand, is it an ad expense? What is it?
Why don't you
Well,
let
let me try
Jatine-
to do this here. I think what Scott's saying is like, what we have is $140 million from the state that's being spent to market some of these websites, their destination websites. We just don't have the dots connected. This would connect the dot to allow the 400 some odd properties, short-term rentals and hotels to be marketed through the state's channels.
That's the merits. I'm trying to understand. How is it an ad expense?
Because
It's a marketing expense because it basically, we do the work to get all the properties listed. We get all the photos uploaded. We get the descriptions uploaded. We update them as, throughout the year and work with the state, and the state allows us to go ahead as a nonprofit to recover our costs to do that. So this is what we call our group listing program. It's a legal use of the local hotel tax because it gets these lodging properties listed on the premier state lodging website that the state operates as part of their tourism promotion function.
This is the same issue I've got with Andy Grunberger's site, rockportfulton.com. It sounds like a great site, but I don't see how it qualifies as a hot funds request because nobody is paying for an ad, and that's what the statute apparently ties our hands and makes us do.
No, the statute actually, and I'm considered the expert on use of hotel tax in the state of Texas. I wrote an article called "What Counties Need to Know to Administer the County Hotel Tax," and I also wrote an article on what cities need to know to administer the city hotel tax. And in both those articles, we talk about the authority to get advertising and promotion under that statute allows getting properties onto websites, doing familiarization tours, doing website enhancement, doing advertisement. It's any type of advertisement and promotion, and getting properties listed on websites that tell people where they can stay in Aransas County would absolutely be a legal expenditure of the hotel tax. And I can tell you that the lawyers in all the major cities that we work with, San Antonio, Fort Worth, Dallas, Arlington, El Paso, Galveston, they all looked at this and confirmed, as well as the county attorneys that we've worked with throughout the state, that it is compliant with the authority to use hotel tax for either a city or for a county.
That sounds great to me, but also because it sounds like it applies exactly and 100% equally to rockportfulton.com, who just spoke to us earlier.
We can talk
And,
about
and,
that.
I, and I, you know, it sounds like I would love to aim money at both of those kinds of sites. They sound great.
Right. The sites sound great, but it's on his portion of it, he doesn't have the content. And so what's been
doesn't have the
challenged-
content?
The gentleman that
Oh, I see.
presented earlier. I was there at City of Rockport meeting last year when he presented as well. You got to have a plan.
Scott,
The,
Andy Grunberg,
what was the site?
Rockport
Visit Rockport.
Fulton.com.
Let's just
Right.
talk about yours right now.
Right.
Is this on this site, is it normally, I know Craig told me that he is a subscriber to it, has been in the past. So is it normal that a rental person would pay a fee to be on there for the advertising that's on there, or?
15,000 cover that.
No.
It would cover everything.
It's not really practical with
You need to speak into the mic, sir.
Would you come up, Greg?
The people on Zoom can't hear you. We can, but they can't.
It wouldn't be really practical for the THLA to go out and solicit or, market to all of these individual properties.
But it would.
Identify yourself for the public.
Craig Griffin, I own the Inn at Fulton Harbor.
But what I'm asking though, like y'all, I presume, are already on it. Did y'all pay a fee to get on there? That's what we're basically, you're asking us to do it for everybody, but y'all have actually already been doing it.
I think I'm one of the 6 that he mentioned it in the
Yeah.
county that does it. But what, in my mind is, it markets the community, and obviously it's going to get its more of the venue tax in, county taxes, things like that would not normally be advertised and bring more people to town.
Right.
What I'm asking y'all, since you've been on there, do you pay a annual fee?
There's a membership fee to the Texas Hotel Lodging Association that covers
So
that.
what we're actually would be doing is paying everyone's membership fee to that
All
organization
480,
that's
all
gonna do.
480 some.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to be members, but they will be advertised on the listing. Scott would know better on that one.
Yes, it provides, it's called our group listing program. It would provide all the services that we have, and they would be eligible, that we would comp their membership, but it's driven to market all these properties and make sure that Aransas County and all of your lodging properties are all fully represented on the state tourism website.
So tell me again, who gets the money, the association or the members?
Yeah,
who are-
we're a nonprofit association that saw a void in being able to market the lodging properties throughout the state, especially the smaller ones. And as Mr. Griffin was indicating, it's not possible for us to try with a staff of 2 people on marketing outreach to try to get a hold of 476 properties. So we created a group listing program where we work with municipalities, we work with cities, and like in Galveston, we list several thousand properties, all on their state tourism website, and they, with one payment, cover that cost as part of the use of their hotel occupancy tax. And that way, everybody gets the same benefit, everybody gets listed, everybody gets that exposure, and it makes it more, the governor's website for their tourism department, more meaningful because it has a richer array of all the lodging properties available. And our goal is a nonprofit state association. We're not a for-profit entity. We're not here to make money. We're here just to promote tourism and hotel activity throughout Texas. So
I'm
that's
asking
that's
a question.
one of our
I'm trying to
programs.
understand- What I'm trying to understand is, to whom would the check be written?
It would be written to the Texas Hotel and Lodging Association for us to get all the properties listed, their photos updated, and to
But
be
now I'm not
maintained on
asking
that
for what
site.
exactly. I'm trying to understand who gets the money. So it's not. the
Yes,
people
Texas
who are
Hotel and
placing-
Lodging
Hold on, let me just finish for a second. This is an important question for me. It's not, the money is not going to the people who are placing the ads. It's going to your association.
Right.
Correct. And it's not a placement of ads. It's basically a placement of lodging properties on where to stay function. People have a
Not ad, not a good word for it, more like marketing material. And I can't see any daylight between that and rockportfulton.com. I'm interested in both, and I'm trying to understand. You guys may understand it better than I do. What's the difference?
Well, we'll discuss.
And these
that.
are witnesses who know about it, and these are answers that I need from witnesses standing in court today. I just would like them to answer the question.
To THLA through the state of Texas is far greater than what that website.
I'm talking about a legal issue, not merits.
No, legal wise.
Legal wise, there's no reason why we couldn't fund both if we wanted to.
I can tell you as a lawyer, I used to be chief of municipal affairs for the Texas Attorney General and lead tax attorney for the Texas Municipal League. And I advise the legislature every session on both county hotel tax and city hotel tax. And you're asking a very good question. The question is would either both of these expenses or only one of these types of expenses between rockportfulton.com or getting properties listed? They're both advertising and promotion opportunities. And they would
We're
fit.
not talking about a situation in which there's
And
not
they-
enough of both. That's. well,
Yeah,
I'm
they,
not-
they're both, either of them would be eligible.
Okay. I mean, it's not an either or. I'm not trying to put one in competition with the other.
Right,
at all.
right, yeah. Either of them would be eligible as a marketing. I don't know enough about rockportfulton.com to know if they list individual hotels or if it's simply a travel website that attracts people to the area, and then staying at hotels is a secondary issue. For our purpose.
Could
Go
I get
ahead.
hold of you after? Probably nobody wants to sit through a long legal discussion, but can I get your contact information and talk to you about that?
Absolutely, I'd be honored to talk to you.
Carrie, have you got it?
We can get it.
I can get it from JP then. Thanks.
Yes.
Yes.
No, Scott, we're trying to ask you a question, but we're having a mic problem. Hold on.
Okay, yes, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear anything.
Can you hear me now?
I sure can.
All right. So you mentioned a group listing program that the 476 hotel, motel,
Yeah, short-term rentals. Mhm.
would be enrolled into that program. Is
Right.
that correct?
Yes.
And is there some way that following this day's workshop that we could get what the bullet points are of that group listing program? I'd just be interested.
Yes, I provided the judge a listing as to what the benefits are of that group listing program, and we can reshare that with the entire county commission.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Okay, that would be great.
We'll
Thank
get
you.
it to you.
We have a question from our treasurer. Hold on. Hang on, that the mic's not on. We're going to try again.
She said with short-term rentals, it was more like 1,000 different places down here instead of 487.
If we manage to get your 476 list up to 1,000 that we think we're aware of, what would that change?
We'd have to look at it. We could get you an updated amount. We would try to find an economical way to make sure that they could all be listed.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for these gentlemen? All right, thank you, gentlemen. I think next up would be for discussion of the EDC. Jeff, you want to start it off?
The 12,000 is in the budget. When you talked to me about that Friday, I was thinking hot funds and not general fund, but it is in the budget.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. And just for what it's worth, I've had the privilege of knowing Scott Josla for 30 years. I worked with him when he was at the Attorney General's office. He used to write the handbook for economic development on all of the taxes and programs and what have you. So
He knows what
an
he's talking
authority
about.
That's pretty powerful. So I've met with all of you individually at least a little bit. And when we met, one of the things I think I've shared with you freely is one of my greatest assets is proving my ignorance. And last Monday, I was in front of you and did a nice little song and dance, and you all were incredibly receptive, and nobody asked me any questions. And I thought, well, that just went too easy. And I think we may have missed a step from the EDC side and just as follow through in that we are seeking kind of continued funding, additional funding for the EDC. And so I just wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of listen a little bit about what we're talking about and then get some feedback from you in terms of where we are and what we need to do. So I apologize for being ill prepared last week.
This money's in the budget.
Is it in the budget? Okay.
How much are we talking about?
12,000 is what's in the budget for.
In what department?
The non-departmental under.
Corona.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's 12,000 that's in there?
Yes,
And that's the same as last year.
yes.
And the basic scenario is that for the last couple of years, you have funded through the local government corporation the $12,000, and then the EDC contracted with the local government corporation and was funded from them. As we go forward, and what had been discussed organizationally within the EDC was to seek increase in that amount to potentially up to 21,000 as we go from a startup entity into the movement of creating a credible and professional economic development organization. Within that, and I have some handouts I'd be happy to give you in terms of kind of articulating our services, but that's the basic premise. And knowing that it's in the budget, I just found out last week that I actually pulled the budget, and I don't know the budget, and I haven't had the chance. I don't want to bother the auditor until you've gotten through this year's budget, but
Are you posing an increase to 20 this year or next year?
for 23,
For this budget that we're about to approve, you want to improve, we want to increase from 12 to 20?
yes,
Still going through the LGC?
it would be direct between the county and the EDC or the partnership.
Why do you want to skip the LGC?
Well, the LGC in May of this year actually canceled the contract between the LGC and the EDC as
Then
one of their motions and
And
movements.
if we don't put it on the shelf in September, it will die. In December 8th, it will go away.
What will die?
Local
LGC.
government corporation.
So there's some chance of the LGC simply ceasing existence, but in any case, it no longer has a contract with the EDC. So
Right.
it's
Correct.
going to get money from the county. It needs to go direct.
The concept was that the Economic Development Corporation would now seek professional service agreements with the county and the cities and even potentially the navigation district as we go forward. In the city's budget this year, they have we have requested and they have moved forward with a $25,000 contribution to the Economic Development Corporation for 23 as a component of the services that we look to offer to them and the work that we hope to do with them as we go into the new year.
So tell us what you're going to be doing for the county in 2023. That's 8,000 more than what you did last year.
I'll hand these out to you and let you have these. I think the basic premise is where the EDC has been. We've been a startup organization. We've had an interim president for the last 6 months. And the primary activities of the Economic Development Corporation have been creating the foundation of a new organization. And so I've included in here a report that we've put together for the second quarter that was going to be presented to the LGC in terms of the website, the marketing that they've done, the business development that they've put together, et cetera. As we go forward, what we have at this juncture, we have almost 70 members in the Economic Development Corporation. We have a budget this year into 23 that will be roughly $220,000. And so part of the concept is leveraging any investments that we would receive from you, for example, and using that for marketing purposes. For the county specifically, those would include things like working with the airport, continuing to facilitate work with the Workforce Development Center, continue exploring and looking for additional medical facilities, and then doing the business development, both retention, expansion, and diversification to work on that issue of trying to diversify the tax base of Aransas County in doing all of the things and having the tools established as a credible and professional economic development organization so that we can interact with the private sector and with the public in moving forward.
I'm assuming that you've referred to as expenses, but I'm not looking at a financial statement. So I'm just going to ask you general questions about it. The expenses must be increasing this year to achieve the new tasks.
Yes.
What's going up?
The biggest is the staff in
So-
terms of me and having an organization where we're actually going from kind of a part-time startup organization into a full-fledged organization.
Besides you, what kind of staff is increasing?
No other increases. We're going to be a staff of 2. We have the existing staff member that has been there.
Who's that?
Barbara Gertner.
Oh,
And so basically what you have a shift is, and pound for pound, you're probably getting 3 to 1, but we're replacing Michael Meek with me. And
But,
so,
I mean, are you more expensive than Mr. Meek or what?
Yes.
What? Okay.
And I'm annual. Mr.
What's your, can you tell us, I mean, I guess it's a public expense, what your annual salary is?
Yeah, so as we go forward, there's a whole lot of different nuances, but I'll tell you, $120,000 is what my salary will be.
And how about Barbara Gertner? Roughly, if you can recall.
She's kind of a full-time, part-time, and I want to say that's somewhere around 30,000.
And that's not changing.
At this point, no.
What's the increase from Mr. Meek? He must not have been at 120.
No, he was hourly, monthly. And so I would say that was well less than half, somewhere in that neighborhood. One of the things that I would
Would those
add-
be the main changes, really, the staff? I mean, or do you have other like large expense changes with, I don't know, advertising or?
I
anything?
think all of it will become much more functional. So there'll be,
I mean, where's the dollar increase coming from? Is there any other big category besides salary that's changing? The expenses?
I think from the marketing standpoint, there'll be a noticeable change there because, and as we've talked with the city, I would envision with the county. What we would like to do is suggest that with our investment from the county, that we would use that for target marketing and development purposes. And so whether that be working with the airport or working to develop the tools and the resources necessary to properly promote the Workforce Development Center to go after business development opportunities.
Almost done.
Yes, or just to present a more professional presence in terms of what the economic climate of Aransas County is.
I'm trying to get to what you spend money on. I mean, I know there's ads. Presenting a professional presence is what, buying equipment or, you know,
That really
publishing
ranges
charges,
more-
that kind of thing.
It'll be collateral production in terms of information, materials, magazines, things that we can use
I
for
mean,
prospecting.
How does that translate to dollars? I guess it's in a really dumb sense. Are we talking just, you know, sort of general photocopy expense, paper? If it's not staff, what is it?
I think from the operations standpoint, that'll be kind of a regular budgeting thing. What we have to develop is how are we going to put our collateral machine together?
Yeah, I know, but
And
I'm talking
so-
about where's money going?
It could
in a
go.
Simple-minded way.
I can tell you in my previous life, when we did an economic summit used to promote the county, the city, that ended up being anywhere from a $70,000 to $100,000 event.
And what do you spend it on? The venue or
The venue, on the materials that go with it, we would spend probably, it's a different.
publishing charges, things like that?
It's not apples to apples, but the Economic Development Profile magazine that we produced was a $30,000 event.
Like I said, publishing. I mean, you know, putting together
Publishing,
paper
right.
and materials.
Then we have the cost of the website. We have specific tools. We have contracts with Resimplify. We have Intel that's used in the backbone of that information clearinghouse. That those range anywhere from a couple of $1,000s to $5,000. And those are things I'm evaluating as we speak. And so as we go forward, I'll be making recommendations to all of our partners and to the board in terms of where I think we can get the biggest bang for the buck.
Okay, so that's uses of funds. Sources of funds would be your total budget's around 220. You would want 20 from us. You're getting how much from the other local entities?
What's discussed right now at the city is 25,000. And then, I'm in my infancy here. And so right now, I don't know if we'll get anything or have any relationship with the navigation district. I sincerely hope so. And that's something that is a priority to me.
So
In
that's
terms of Fulton,
an unknown right
I
now.
don't know.
Fulton,
You know,
Fulton's a
if-
no.
I don't know if there's
Okay.
anything long-term in terms of how we, at the end of the day, we're going to partner with everybody irrespective.
And then the school district, I think, is not, last I heard, I don't think they're contributing, are they?
No, they're not
And
contributing.
then I guess
and
Aransas Pass has a little piece of the county as well. Are they in on this?
I'm still exploring what our relationship with them will be.
Right now, it's mostly the county and the city of Rockport.
Yes,
with
in terms of
possibility
governmental,
of
yeah.
some others.
Yep. And I think with both of those combined, that would equate to roughly 20%. And so as I've done in other positions, the opportunity to leverage that investment with other private sector investments and get a higher return on investment is something that's a priority for me and gives us the ability, our hope is that we can become an extension of the county and work with the county staff as we start looking at project development activities and kind of those day-to-day things where we can be in that position to be a resource to your personnel and to the county.
Thank you, Jim. Mr. Sjöström,
Yes, ma'am.
if the county is giving money directly to the EDC, we would expect, as we do from the other entities to whom we provide funding, budgets and financial reports, perhaps on a quarterly or semi-annual basis. Are you prepared to provide those?
Absolutely, and would look forward to it. I think communication is the key, and we would look to, in that quarterly process, being able to come to you, and frankly, it'll probably be much more frequent in terms of just where we are and where things are going. And I've told everybody I'm it's the Sjöström Texas 3-step. My first step, I've been on board now for a month, and I've been meeting everybody in the world that would talk to me, and I've even meeting with some people that didn't want to talk to me. We are reevaluating all of the organizational pieces, from the bylaws to the policies and procedures and to the organizational structure. And then thirdly is that business development piece. I've already begun working with some of our regional allies, trying to get a better understanding of where things are happening, what's going on, and how that could potentially impact us for the future. And that's what really I'm looking forward to the most, is getting into that business development piece to try and find where would our niche be, where are the types of opportunities that we can really explore to help expand and diversify Aransas County's employment and tax bases.
Any other questions? Anybody got anything to add to it? Jeff, I think you did a good job.
Thank you. And I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the leadership of our chair, Justine Bakta.
Yeah.
And Mike Meek, enjoy your time. Time to leave Dodge.
Anybody want to add anything to it?
Have you got ones to hand out to us?
Yes, can I?
Yes, come on up.
Again.
I don't either.
It's not as bad as a
Protocol,
report.
guess
You
so.
can hand stuff to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Jackie, your turn.
Okay. The sheet that I handed out to you earlier on the changes that were made did go back and review some of the revenues. We had originally done the budget anticipating a 7% increase on sales tax. I've talked to Alma and discussed it with her because we were looking at 7, 10, and 15%. So we've opted to use the 10% increase, which increases our revenue by $71,000. Also increase the mixed beverage tax by $1,000. Increase the Nueces County inmate revenue, which probably will end up just being other county revenues.
Hold on, before you move on, the changing the assumption of how much we'll collect in sales tax would generate how many dollars?
$71,406. With the sheriff working with other counties and with Williamson County and some others, we've anticipated an additional 100,000 there. I had reduced that originally, but am anticipating that we may possibly, I don't know if the sheriff agrees.
A lot of counties have crowd.
I don't know. I haven't.
Have y'all had any inmates so far from anybody other than federal?
Well, yeah.
Nueces.
That's,
But say you had multiple agreements, I mean, you can only take however much room you have. But say if you had them with half a dozen places, that you just set up where they know what they're gonna pay and if they do.
We've been running probably 20 to 25
And is it a similar rate to the Fed?
What's the Fed rate now?
All right.
So other than that, because of anticipating the 10% on sales tax for general fund, also increased the healthcare sales tax to the 10%, which adds $70,635 there. We need to look possibly at an increase in EMS payments. I know there was some discussion and stuff. We are a little bit over, but we probably need to look at that. That is funded out of healthcare sales tax. Let me look and see. I think we have 170 in there. It's done by a portion of calls. It's split out by calls between us and the city. And I know we've been underfunding it, but
We're caught up now, right?
we don't have a new interlocal. I still haven't changed anything.
So this doesn't come out of general. This comes out of the
No,
healthcare,
it comes out
healthcare
of
sales
healthcare
tax fund.
I do have 170 in there.
It needs to go up. The city's not gonna grow.
Yeah.
When does our contract with the ambulance service come up?
It's automatically renewed. I
It's
think.
automatically renewed every year. And it's based on the calls.
Right, but I think they're bound to go up on the cost per call at some point.
They haven't even-
They have never changed
Never.
that.
It's hard to believe the price of gas, stuff like that, that they.
and They haven't
But-
mentioned it.
But unless they ask to amend the contract and it just gets automatically renewed, they have to eat those costs, I guess.
So are we, do we have enough in that account to finish
Yes,
out the year?
Oh, yeah.
The healthcare sales tax? Yeah, we-
No, just for the
Healthcare sales
EMS that
tax.
you're talking about.
Yes.
Yes.
And so the anticipation of an increase is based on new homes that are being built in the county? Is that why we're thinking we need to bump up the amount?
It's already should
Sorry.
have been bumped up because of the interlocal, we have not changed what we're paying. I
When
mean,
you say
the-
it should have been built up,
What's-
well,
what's
because
pushing?
We've gotten some information from the city. The interlocal has the percentage that we're gonna pay. And right now, we're paying less than what the calls say that we should pay. So we need to get with Jen, we need to get that taken care of and updated. And it's probably about 180, 190,000 is what they're anticipating that our cost should be.
Well, why
What-
don't you- I mean,
So
I
I-
would think you should raise the budget up to what you think. it
That's,
should be.
that's what
mean,
right now we
coming
have
from
it increased to
healthcare.
170.
What's
so
pushing the additional cost? I guess we're asking. It's an economic
Runs.
matter.
It's
just
the number of runs.
More runs, which probably is a
Could
population thing.
be Winter Texans, more runs to. that
But it's
type of
just
stuff.
volume of calls, which basically means head count.
Mhm.
what page are you on, Jackie?
That is page 119. And right now I have it at 170, 190, 200,000. I mean, either way, we're fine.
And there's still plenty of money in the
Yes,
healthcare
ma'am.
sales tax fund.
Yes, ma'am.
Jackie, do we get a monthly or quarterly, number of runs that they make?
I get a
Average
monthly.
cost per run?
I get a monthly.
I'd like to see those monthly.
Next time she comes in. Next time she sends me. print out.
I'll put it at 200. I need to share my screen. I just.
Jackie, when I go to page 119, it shows long-term recovery fund. So it must be a different page number?
Yes, it is. It's the next one's down. It will be
No,
19,
that's-
20, 21, probably 22, 122.
I still show long-term recovery. in it. Is it healthcare
Yes.
sales?
healthcare
So
sales
around the
tax.
124, 123? Okay. Okay. Who would initiate a change in that percent with the new interlocal? I mean, would the city?
We can, the city has contacted us, but as far, I have not seen anything new come through.
Yeah, they want to.
Yes.
So previously has been 130,500.
Yes, ma'am.
And for this year, you were putting it up to 170. Well, actually, in
170 is
2022,
what
you
it was
did.
last year, but we have not seen the change in interlocal. So I would suggest putting 200 in there. I mean, 200 is.
Yeah.
Will cover us, we'll be fine. That should take care of everything.
And that it'll be available in case the interlocal gets properly amended.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Doesn't hit the
And-
general budget, and there's still plenty of money in the healthcare sales tax fund.
there is plenty of money in healthcare sales tax. That will still increase fund balance by $400,000 in healthcare sales tax by doing that.
Originally, we had our contract with Allegiance. We had separate contracts. Or I mean, and I know the calls that come through dispatch comes up with the number. But if sometime in there, have the contracts with them changed? Were they're together or?
I think the contract,
They're separate now.
they're separate, but it tells how much they
Yeah.
want a total of $400,000
Yeah, but
or whatever.
it
it is.
goes back to.
And it goes back to the
dispatch
percentages, but we
numbers.
still have not changed that. We need to get that taken care of by the first of the year. I would say it really needs to be done as soon as possible.
I would think you need to put it
Do
where
it
you think
now.
it needs to be.
Yeah.
Did you have something else?
The only other thing that I've looked at, and it was when I was visiting with commissioners and I was telling them how the funds work, I realized that the library fund is totally funded from the general fund. We transfer money from the general fund to fund the library. So I thought, why do we do that? So it's always been done like that. I feel like we should look at moving the library into the general fund as a department in the general fund and eliminating that transfer back and forth. or
There's no
over to it.
statutory reason why libraries have to be kept separate.
No.
And that's
I
usually
have-
the only
I
reason we do a
found no
fund, right?
reason Why it should be kept separate. It's totally funded by the general fund. They have maybe $3,000 worth of revenue from fines and stuff, which can easily be put into the general fund as lines, library fines and identified that way. So there's no reason to keep them separate.
The only two reasons I know to bother keeping a fund separate are if this law says so, or if it has a really complicated offset mechanism for fees, for instance, that are a large part of its budget. And it's very hard to see how that department's doing without seeing its revenue attached right there on the same
Exactly.
page.
And
If the revenues here are negligible, I agree, having it part of the main budget sounds like a sensible idea.
that's what I would propose that we do something like that. That is exactly why we went with the transfer station and took it out and made it an enterprise fund.
Because
was
it's so hard to
because
keep
it
track of
was-
revenues.
We could track revenues and expenditures on
Right.
it. It's not in this budget that you're looking at. I would add that and make those changes prior to the final adoption. If that's, what the consensus is with the court is to do something like that, I would definitely do the work. It's not going to change our fund balances because we already moved that money over to library fund. We'll just take that transfer out and then we'll have the expenditures in the library.
I think that makes sense.
General fund. Other than that, I have added the revenue in the general fund for the proposed tax rate. Just while we were talking, I did that. It changes our reduction of fund balance to 2,415,000. And you'll remember one item is a one-time item, and that's the 651,000 for the long-term recovery to do that. So we're looking at about 1.8 million reduction in fund balance that's reoccurring.
And we're going to end up over 7.6 million in
Yes.
reserve.
Yeah. Now, this does not include any COLAs. That's the next thing, if y'all are interested.
I have
in
a couple of
COLAs.
questions before we get to that.
Okay,
Do you have-
I'm done except for what y'all
So
have to ask.
going to page 9, account 401.
Okay.
At the first line item, I noticed the salary, we're showing a reduction, a variance of 25,000. Is that based on the 27th pay period for 2022? over
No,
20?
ma'am, that is the supplement, for magistrate, for the county judge.
So since Judge Mills will be leaving office, that supplement.
Now, if Mr. Garza does the classes and gets certified where he can, say certified, registered where he can do the magistrates, then he is eligible for those supplements.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Janet. And under longevity pay, I was thinking that that amount would drop. Since the new judge will be starting January 1st, he won't be eligible for longevity pay in 2023.
Well. We do not have him on here to take that off, but we will make that adjustment.
So that'll be a reduction of about $1,500.
$1,500.
Thank you.
And how does, like, the precinct 4 commissioner's salary compare to everybody else's? Because, you know, in the past, we've had people that didn't take it. And when a newly elected person came in, we normally equalized the salary to whatever everybody else.
Commissioner is, Commissioner 4 right now is 27,559.
So what is
Okay,
everybody
I'm
else?
sorry, that's the budget amount. The actual amount is the 26,669.
Right. Yeah, we normally, when something like that happened in the past, we've equalized that position to what everybody else is, because it was the previous people's, you know, they could take it or not, but it ends up with that position being sometimes lower. I'm just saying, how does it currently compare to everybody else's? Oh,
Yes.
Wait, you put them in the budget at a different amount than they were being paid to the commissioner? Why would the budget reflect anything other than the actual salary you're paying? But they're not level.
oh, yep. What you're saying is, when somebody else is elected, like saying that in the past, I didn't know they were doing that. In the past, over the years, the commissioner declined to take a COLA. Somebody else gets elected, they're basically being paid less than some of the people.
Right. I mean, the advertised amount, what they ran for, understanding was the amount. So, and that our usual rule, we don't like giving people raises when they ran under the assumption that's what they'd be getting.
But you're saying that you hold a higher amount in the budget. And I think we're questioning that.
Yeah, I don't get putting it in the budget if we know we're not going to spend it.
number.
It's a budget pad. It's just not, doesn't sound like something we should do.
Maybe that's something we need to take up with the county attorney. But
But we're not required to keep the precincts level if the people holding the positions in the precinct elect to be paid less.
Well, what we can do is we will go in and correct these to what's actually being paid. And that will, it's gonna be a very small reduction. I mean, you're looking at maybe about $10,000, maybe less than that.
Just
$10,000.
But we'll correct that.
Okay.
I'm just kind of eyeballing here and using the brain.
So on page 13, account 409, the variance of 12,747 less on salary appointed officials. Could you explain that, please? Page 13.
Oh, okay, this is, we had 2 employees that were receiving the Harvey pay. And what we have done is we have gone in and put them respectively in the right budget and put them on the pay scale. That John Strothman's is still in here, but Valerie's was moved over to environmental health. And they were put on the pay scale instead of having it separately in non-departmental.
So the stipends were being run through non-departmental
yes, ma'am.
instead of their respective.
These
Yes,
were Harvey stipends that were separately
Yes.
accounted for and now
Yes.
being added into the main
Yes.
salary.
Now into their salaries, yes.
So we're making a Harvey stipend permanent.
Yes, ma'am.
Was the Harvey stipend previously funded from some other source or was it just general?
No, ma'am. It was just always in general fund and non-departmental.
Shouldn't we have been considering that as a raise then instead of making a, temporary disaster payment permanent without discussion? The raise may be a great idea, but normally when we give raises, we just discuss them openly. I mean, I'm not even sure we're entitled to make that kind of change to a payment structure without, a motion and a record. Could always do it next week, but it ought to go on the record at some point.
We can do that. We can bring it to you for discussion. If that's what y'all want to do.
I guess that's what we need to do.
Under 310 office supplies, 15,000. What all feeds into the non-departmental?
This is where we buy all of the paper and stuff, and then as it is disseminated, it is charged back, or kind of like our fuel does, where we buy it all in one place, and then as we disseminate it to the different departments, they actually pay us, and we do a journal entry to this. So that's just to cover additional expenses
Okay.
that we have.
So a budget line item transfer would negate that.
Yes.
essentially. Okay, and so under 412, drug screen and physicals, are we currently doing pre-hire physicals?
Yes, ma'am, we are.
Are they not being charged because it looks like you're
No, ma'am, they're being paid out of healthcare sales tax.
So could we eliminate that 3,500?
Yes. Healthcare sales tax.
So yes.
Yes, ma'am, I've removed it.
That was education program that you removed.
No, drug, one below it, drug
Was it?
screen and
No,
physical.
I
Well,
did, move
but
the
she
wrong- I did do the
removed
wrong one. Thank you, Carrie.
You're welcome.
And under equipment rental, 76,500.
That is copy machines, postage machines. We originally, I was talking to Paul, he was doing some there, both. We
That's
had
what I
put
thought.
them in here.
So now they're in here.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then they're, like you said, maybe allocated out on a percent basis? or
We
this
have
just
not
needs it?
done that yet.
Okay.
We need to work on that. Colin and I have been kind of working on getting those figures together. So probably with the 24 budget, we'll be able to actually identify and charge each department their own copiers.
Okay, thank you. And then I just wanted to confirm, I visited with First Assistant Auditor Tana about the Crime Stoppers, and that 5,000 has been allocated in there, right?
Yes, ma'am, it's
Okay,
there.
it was just in the wrong line item.
What was that now?
Crime Stoppers, it's 560.
Okay, and what was in line item 525 has been negated.
Where'd it go to?
It
Well,
was,
I understand that.
it was put in the wrong line. So it was put in 525, it should have been in 560. It just doesn't have the number 560. in there.
Anything else?
That's it, thank you.
Jackie, how much in revenues do we estimate we're adding by increasing the sales, the tax rate 1 cent?
I'll tell you. Right at $400,000.
So we would have to,
But in here, I mean, I say 400,000 compared to last year.
I
It's
know-
right at 469,000.
so we would have to remove $469,000 from this budget in order to preserve the general reserve where you're suggesting putting it and not raise the tax rate. 469,000 it would be the target if we were going to address this by reducing the budget.
Mhm. Do y'all have I can show you what COLAs will do if y'all are interested in looking at that.
Yeah, let's look at it.
Okay. Right now, this one that you see is with no COLA. Let me get to the front page here. We're at 2,406,578 with a 2%, 2.5%, which is one step.
Wait, you're saying a 2.5% COLA would cost?
Well, that's what I'm going to tell you right now. I got it. It should be right at $250,000.
Okay. 2.5% is about $250,000.
It's about $250,000. It would take us up to 2.683 or 2.5. That is a one step. And that's why rather than us having to redo our salary sheets, if we can, if it's y'all's choice, but if we stay at the 2.5 to 5, then it's really easy for me to show you right here.
So roughly 100,000 per percent increase. If we went to 5,
Yeah.
it'd be about
And
500,000.
if you go to the 5, it's going to be roughly $500,000. Yes, ma'am.
And we did, remind me, did we do a whole 5% last year?
We did 7.5 last year.
We did 7.5% last year.
I know the employees would greatly appreciate anything that y'all, feel like you want to give them.
Taxpayers would greatly appreciate anything we did to not jack their rate up this year.
Well, I showed y'all that thing and it's very, very minimal what the rate is going to go up if we even go up to 1 penny.
So is
We
a
didn't
2.5% COLA.
I'm gonna say, and that's just me again, 5% is what we should go to.
I couldn't quite hear you. Are you suggesting a 5% COLA?
Yes.
That
Certainly
for
has been a-
everyone. I mean, this number is for everyone, elected officials and everyone.
Certainly has been more than 5% increase in cost of living. over the last
Cost of
year.
living is going up.
Taxpayers also are experiencing the same inflation as county
We
employees.
understand that, Commissioner.
Yeah, we understand that, Wendy, but the folks out there are giving us everything that we need and then some extra for the same money that they're paying whenever the inflation was less.
Same for taxpayers. It's exactly the same argument.
Well, I understand that, but taxpayers aren't out there.
The taxpayers want the services that the county provides. We need to pay the people that are giving the
The
service.
taxpayers are as important as the county employees.
Cut services. How about that?
We should cut our budget so that we don't have to hike the taxes. Instead, we're talking about raising the budget.
We did absorb the increase on the employer side for the health insurance for next year. So we also took on that expense to keep it off the employee.
And we have an excessive reserve, half again as much as we had before we went into the worst storm of this century. We should be making the reserve take the hit, not the taxpayers.
Okay, that's your opinion.
Yes. Also the opinion of most of the voters in this county.
All right.
I keep thinking back when Jerry Cox, in one of her presentations, said that there was a connection when you took from your reserve, that there was something happened to your tax, the way you calculated your taxes in the future, the next year, whatever.
Right.
I
If
don't
you
remember.
use your reserves and don't increase, then your no new revenue rate continues to go down and you never catch up.
Right. In other words, the law works exactly the way it's supposed to inhibit runaway spending by government.
But we still have all of the same increases that the people at home have. All of our fuel is going up, our food prices are going up, our office supplies, all of our material. And
Yes, the question is, who takes the hit? And it can't always be the taxpayers. We have to find ways to shrink what we do and pare back to core
well,
functions.
for risking this, sounding cold and impersonal, but we are keeping them down. We didn't go to a voter approval rate like most of the entities are doing. So
Yes,
the
we could have
county
done
should
worse.
Have kudos for keeping it down to a penny.
No, the county never gets credit for failing to inflate the tax bill.
I'm not really in favor of a COLA at all, but I certainly could see 2.5% one step versus the two-step 5% increase, especially based on the 7.5% that was given last year.
7.5 last year.
Yeah, but we hadn't given hardly any color. We'd given minor color raises before the 7.5. We got so far behind. We really need to go up more than 7.5. That's what it is.
Then we should take it out of our reserve.
Jackie, is a question, is the reserve balance, does that have an effect on our credit rating for the county?
No.
Okay.
Well,
As long
it has
as
some.
we keep it, I mean, it does, but we kept it.
It's so high right now that
90 days is what you should do, and we have well over that.
yeah, Bob Henderson has often advised us that our reserves are up high enough that we're doing all we need to in that direction to keep our credit rating good.
We just have to remember, we've always come in where we've added to the fund balance. We've started budgeting now to go into fund balance. So far, we haven't really gone into it yet, and even by the end of this year, should not go where we will. But once that fund balance is gone, there's nothing else to work with. Then you're gonna have to look at increasing taxes major.
I know, I just don't see the rationale for raising taxes this year, because otherwise we might have to in a future year. If we have to in a
Well,
future year, we will in
I
a future
mean,
year.
But I think it's easier on the citizens if we raise small increments instead of
They
just one
don't
big
think
swoop.
so. We may think so.
Well,
They
I
don't
mean-
think so. That's not an excuse they're going to buy at all. We're doing this for your benefit. No, they will not buy that.
All right, any other discussion besides that?
When do we have to make up our mind?
Next one.
Well, we're gonna have a public hearing next Monday, so I really need to have direction now so we can be ready for that.
And I'm saying 5.
Yeah, with the cost that just gone crazy, the employees are really they're losing ground even at 5%. But I think that shows that we care about our employees. And not only that, the sheriff that goes through it all the time and losing to other places around that have better salary schedules, better thing. And, you know, you either have employees that are working there because they like the work and think that they're reasonably compensated, or you have people that go somewhere else where they can get that feeding. I mean, you know, just because they own a house here and everything doesn't mean they got to work here.
My vote this year is going to be based on the same analysis that it was last year. And that is, I can support a COLA if we are sticking to a no new revenue tax rate. But I can't support a budget that requires us to go over the new revenue tax rate. I think there's plenty of reserve. And if we can do it all with the reserve, I'll vote for it. Otherwise, I'm against any COLA and against this budget.
I'm struggling between the 2.5 and 5.
You know, there are employees that
Oh, sure.
received like 7.5% increases in addition to the 7.5% COLA. It is not just a limitation on how much an employee can make. There are performance evaluations, there are step increases. The handbook was changed to allow 3-step increase, which is 7.5%. And I think some have received even more than that in a 12-month cycle.
I always prefer to see people get their raises through step ups and promotions than through across the board adjustments that apply equally to all employees.
Sheriff, you have input. And due to the fact that the elected officials and department heads in the last 15 years that I know of have always given money back to the general fund, gives a credit to how well the people that work for Aransas County think of of their job and of the county. Instead of spending the money that they get every year, they give back. That's great.
They give back money that the taxpayers gave them in the first place. It's not their money. It's your citizens, your voters' money.
Jackie, would you want to provide us next week with estimates that show the 2.5% COLA versus the 5%?
Sure. I can do that at workshop or at public hearing.
I'd like
Do you
see
wanna do
along
that?
For the budget, for the budget meeting.
Okay, I can do that. In fact, I'll work it up and get it to y'all this week so that you will have it.
Could you just send us an email or a text when they're in our boxes so we can come pick them up?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'll make some of the changes. We'll get you another budget too.
Is there anything else left that, from any of the departments or anything we haven't talked? What about the salary for the constables? Have we made a decision on that? No?
We increased that to the 36,000.
All right. Anything else? Oh,
move to
Sheriff.
I don't know if it's like for emergency backup dispatch deal, that's not. Maybe going forward.
You're talking about,
Sheriff,
you say dispatch?
I've never been approached with any kind of talks at all. The only time I've ever heard about this backup dispatch is through you. And
When you say we, who was the we? Thank you.
So are they talking about funding it through the dispatch board or?
No, sir, they were talking about funding for the fact that the city had already purchased, they had set aside $600,000. $900,000, raising the issue of if they're going to dispatch, what's supposed to share from the county. That's the first time the discussion of the whole concept.
Explain the concept to me a little bit. What are you talking about on backup dispatch?
They were wanting to establish at the public works building on bypass in the city, call it a warm dispatch center, where any event we lost, something got damaged or whatever, is exactly the way that a gas station. They have a place to fall back, go out on internal lights, you've got radio, phone, and initial plan was to replicate almost entirely what we currently have. Forward, Citizen Rockport was that this emergency center that theoretically you're never going to use at a rate of $900,000 or something crazy. And so we got to come back and discuss the tear down options, rather than $60,000 furniture, what's on the folding tables, chairs, radios, and the box, which is what Metropolitan Corporate does, and Pat County does. We just thought that was discussed. But now that we decided to push back down to something that radios, phones, and I think two concepts, where that you could sit back there and go live and work, even push on the building or anything else from the damage. But now we're going to come back to the question of, which pushed it back to the public, the council member, was funding from the Fulton and the county. I don't know, it hasn't gone to the council yet, that's why I go to the I don't know whether we're going to say one of the other things is on board. At this point, the judge's comment in writing, it ought to be somebody up yonder, I think, taking it forward. not have, doesn't equipment what you include. Now, the city has pared back $800,000 in tax pay that went away with the use for communication. They might be able to distribute some to that power project directly, you know. Equipment, something that right now, they're not funding any of that. There was no funding, I don't think, from the city on power to come up next to communication. These are things that I pointed out in part of it. Are we really going to dispatch deal or is everybody do their own thing to do the pay for the dispatch?
They've always done that on salaries, the people that work in dispatch. They give people raises and say,
No,
you
it's
owe
good.
this amount.
True. And so.
I would assume it's gonna be the same way.
For city employees, but a lot of times in the past, we have allocated power for to those employees from the county fund, that the county employees got. It's always fair. I don't know, going forward, what kind of a rate we're looking at. How much more, you know, how much special comes for that, or whether it's passed on the over. I don't know who the council is going to come back. My concern at $900,000 was that they were set up, walk away, they pull the plug, go back to their own dispatch, and leave us over the bag, looking to hire employees, which I would, you know, I think going to dispatch services, well, during that fall. Comment was made at one of the meetings. What stopped them from not pulling out of here, so the county can report it to the city, and it was reported to the equipment. So you're going to blackmail me, and I've got to go to court and ask them to fund for $100,000, $900,000, to assure me that they're not going to pull the plug and get that. That was the reply to me from my question. If it happens, it happens. So
If we were gonna spend $900,000 on communication, I'd say we do it by ourselves and let the city stand up, do their own.
Well, that was the cost of the
Uh,
emergency backup. I thought that was it. It started at 800, it got to 840, by the time the last presentation, it was close to 900,000.
You know, what, 3 times in the last 40 years have we ever gone to backup dispatch? And we did that by pulling a trailer in from,
DPS.
and took care of it. We had, what, a 3 or 4 hour lag, and that was it on lack of communication during Harvey. But it was it 24 hours? You know, I can't, I don't know what in the world, they're crazy. You know, to think that we need to spend $300,000 for a backup communication system that we took less than 24 hours to get in under emergency circumstances. What in the world, other than a massive blackout in the existing station, is gonna do that? And what in the world would keep us from knowing that that wouldn't happen to the backup station too?
That was the point I made in the building. What failed us at Harvard was not the center, not the console. We lost the internet, we lost the power. There's nothing to say the power.
Right.
There is no building. And I don't think the public works building is still like that after that storm and they have a foundation.
Well,
But they're going to proceed with it. It's just going to be a question of whether.
But, you know, my idea is if it was their idea to come up with this backup communication and their idea to come up with a price it's going to cost, and they want somebody to share it with them, shouldn't they go to that person and ask, or should I go to them and say, do you want some money? That's my question.
One of the things,
I don't know. That's what stopped us in the council meeting months ago. I don't know if that's going to be. I'm debating it there.
I went to that city council meeting after Sheriff Mills let me know that that was going to be a topic, and discussion and what some of his concerns were about, especially the price tag and the rationale for it. It does not seem like it has a lot of support on the current council, although I have not attended city council meetings in the last month or so. It seemed like it was a carryover idea from the former city manager. Now, that being said, the city is well aware that we're going through a budget process just as they are, and that we're making decisions for 2023 budget, and no one's contacted us yet.
Right.
So I would take that to mean that they don't see this as happening perhaps until late 2023, early 2024. I know when I was at the South County Judge and Commissioners Conference 2 months ago in Corpus Christi, there was a speaker who talked about mobile and backup communication centers and what would be necessary. And the price tag was far, far lower than 900,000 or 300,000. So at this point, I'm not in favor of putting something in our 2023 budget.
So I can answer some of these questions on where some of these huge price tags came from.
Colin, speak up.
So part of the backup, can you hear me now? Yeah. The backup comm center and part of its price tag came from the fact that we would have to duplicate and put equipment that it currently the city and no organization has to ensure that if we lose a tower or lose the sheriff's office, the EOC building where the equipment is currently stored, if that building's lost, that equipment's lost with it. So we're either going to have to buy equipment, move equipment from the EOC and put it in a better prepared location. But in any case, it was the cost of duplicating equipment that would be lost if that building suffered a catastrophic failure, such as Harvey, flooding, or something like that. That is where that large price tag came from, is actually buying the host equipment that would be the tower site. Making the other 3 towers that we will have in the county viable backup locations as far as you retransmitting and acting as the main transmitting tower. Currently, that is the tower that was put in after Harvey at the sheriff's office. That tower is the main transmitting tower. If it's lost, the other 2 towers will not transmit. They get their instruction from that main tower and the equipment that's housed in a building that is potential for loss. It is at 13 feet. A flood could come in. Most of that equipment, if it hits and floods that equipment, we get 5 feet of water in that building. That equipment's underwater. It's lost. That was the rationale for duplicating that equipment out there. As far as what is needed to make the backup comm center function, I don't know how many positions they would want, or what is the right number, but I do see the rationale of having a duplicate host site that can take over the primary tasks of this tower. That equipment maybe should be a separate project to move that equipment and or build a separate site out there. We do need 2 primary sites as far as the main tower. Now, full backup communication center, that's another whole nother discussion, whether we go mobile or 2 positions, forward positions, or recreating the whole center.
Well, that tower was a lot less than $900,000, wasn't it?
I don't know how much the whole tower project was, but they also had to
2/3 of that.
retrofit. That building doesn't have any of the grounding requirements met for a radio tower. It doesn't have the electrical components. So they were having to retrofit that building to make it a viable tower site.
The LEC
The
or the tower?
the Rockport Service Center, where they were proposing to duplicate all the equipment. And when they got the electrical quotes, the tower equipment, the computer equipment, and furniture and all that other stuff, basically to make pretty much a carbon copy of the current communication center, it was a very high price tag.
Our current tower has you for grounding though, doesn't it?
Our current tower was, we spent several years ago to retrofit the entire building for grounding.
Yeah.
And so that
was
wasn't,
used
that
for
didn't,
grounding.
yeah, that didn't have to be redone for this building.
But for the tower.
For the tower, it's bonded to this ground, to the grounding we had already had it established.
Oh, okay.
So we didn't have to,
We spent what?
It was-
$50,000.
it's about
If I remember correctly,
$250,000 to,
grounding.
to do the electrical services on that building.
But the first storm we had went a long ways to paying that back.
Right. And that is one thing, the service center out there does not have that, so they would probably need $100,000 or more in grounding work to put a viable tower out there. Now they have the radio tower. They have their water tower out there, which currently has this police department's radio equipment on top of it. But I've seen the grounding it's got inside it. And it does not meet standards that Motorola would want for an actual, for a tower size. So that's where a lot of these costs were coming in, is because they're having to retrofit that building. Now, as far as cost share that the sheriff brought up, the only thing I could point to, and that's something, a question Jen and legal could answer, is the old interlocal agreements where costs for dispatch services and or the building, the public safety center was like a 48-52 split for like the physical building. For dispatch services, it was like a 50-50 split. And those interlocals were done like 2004. I have no idea if they've been changed or anything on that. That's the only thing I could fall back to is for the city asking us if they wanted some money for dispatch services as part of this project. But a lot of those big numbers came from the fact that that building would have to have some serious retrofitting done to make it an actual viable facility to be if a permanent home for a dispatch center. As far as a backup dispatch center, we can obviously scale back, and that's part of what this going back and forth that they have done is to scale it back to something that's more of a temporary solution, not a, okay, the building's leveled and now we need a new permanent home solution. That's kind of my thought process on where that some of the rationale that they were coming up with these figures for is. That's the only insight I can really offer to it. I wasn't privy to the communication board meetings that they had and some of the other discussions that led up to the final numbers. We did discuss the need for the electrical retrofit that was brought up. And so when they started seeking out contractors, I guess those were a lot of the numbers they came back with. Hope that helps.
Motion to adjourn. Second.